I watched an interview where this comedian's like talking about drunk driving to this guy. It's one of those interviews where the guy doesn't know he's being made fun of.
Yeah.
But he's talking about, he's like, so you're saying like, if you're drinking, maybe you should check yourself. And he's like, because the guy says like, he's like, you should check yourself before you get in an accident. He's like, maybe you would say, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
It's high-speed business at a record pace.
Yeah, yep, pretty sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't get 70 miles to the gallon on this fucker.
This is ship that made the castle. This is real parts.
All right, welcome to the next episode of the Fast Ones.
Yes.
For the 2024 season. We are excited because it's a race week this week.
It is race week.
Race week. We are stoked. We are very stoked.
So, I mean, it's about time.
It feels like it's been such a long off season.
It's been a huge, well, I mean, so much has happened.
So much has happened.
That's clearly probably the reason why
and
it
then
feels
all of a
so long.
sudden, it also just like sprung up out of nowhere, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And I feel like with testing in the past, and maybe I'm just misremembering this, but I feel like they would go to Spain.
Okay.
And test in Spain for a little while.
So if you're new to the sport, did they used to go to Spain?
They used to test
Testing
in Spain.
was always in Spain?
They would test in Spain first,
Yeah.
then Bahrain. So they do like a winter test in Spain and then a
Oh.
Bahrain test, and then the Bahrain test would then go to the race week.
So did we miss out on kind of a Spanish test?
I feel like there's a test that used to be there that they've eliminated.
Huh. That's
and
too bad.
I might be misremembering this, so don't quote me, but I remember it.
Okay.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into that.
Yeah, maybe I'll look it up.
Because later we're going to talk about what we, maybe race predictions, maybe year predictions.
Maybe.
A lot's happened because Drive to Survive came out. We're going to get into that.
And we have to dive into it.
We're going to get into that because...
We have to dive to survive here.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of stuff that I want to talk about.
I'm sure.
That isn't necessarily related to racing at all.
But that's important
There's
stuff.
a lot of new characters in this
series.
series.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to address
That
them.
I hope come back for season 7.
And 8.
I hope they get spin-off
9.
series. We'll wait for those characters. But first, I want to play a little game with you, Mike.
Okay.
I've noticed on the internets, on Instagrams and TikTok, that they'll do this thing where they'll get an expert in Formula One and they will ask him like this person or this person. And he says that person.
Right.
And then they keep whittling it down. Have you seen any of these videos?
I haven't.
Okay. So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to give you 2 drivers.
Okay.
And you tell me which one.
Okay.
And then we'll keep going.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Okay.
Okay. Lando Norris or Carlos Sainz?
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz or Valtteri Bottas?
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz or Kimi Räikkönen?
Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen or Charles Leclerc?
Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen or Daniel Ricciardo?
Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen or Fernando Alonso?
Oh, that's a duel of fates.
Mm.
Fernando.
Fernando Alonso or Lewis Hamilton?
Fernando.
Fernando Alonso or George Russell?
Fernando.
George Russell or Nico Hülkenberg?
Oh, wait, we had to move on.
Nope, keep going. Nope, just keep going.
Nico Hülkenberg.
George Russell or a leftover pizza?
Leftover pizza.
Oh, George Russell or a Wendy's bathroom?
Wendy's bathroom.
George Russell or tax season?
Okay, George Russell.
George Russell or a Toyota Prius?
George Russell.
George Russell or the Green Lantern movie?
Green Lantern movie.
Okay, George Russell or a bucket of hair?
Oh.
Like you're confused. Ooh, that's a tough one.
This is going to be tricky. That could be really useful. It could be a broom. They're just really similar.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that was a great game.
Yeah.
Do I need to do the same thing to you now?
Oh, I know the answers.
Oh, okay, because you fit it.
The game was to see who was the best or the coolest.
Okay, gotcha.
And,
I see why George made it that far.
Yeah. We learned a lot of things that were cooler than George Russell.
We learned a lot of things tonight.
Things we would rather hang out with than George Russell.
A bucket of hair.
We would rather hang out with a bucket of hair in a Wendy's bathroom
And watch Green Lantern.
than George Russell. All right. Well, okay.
Amazing.
Icebreaker game over
That was
with.
a great game.
Thank you.
It was a good way to kick off the year.
Okay. Now, cool.
Yeah.
Let's dive into Drive to Survive.
Let's dive in to Survive.
I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I'm almost done.
I haven't finished it either.
Okay. Can I tell you first off my favorite character? My favorite new character?
Yes.
I think it's in the first episode.
Okay.
I don't know his name.
Okay.
But I think Mercedes is talking about how their performance isn't great.
Okay.
And it's after a race or something, and it cuts to Total Wolf. And he's sitting there and he's pissed. He is so mad.
Yeah.
And there's this poor little tech guy standing right there.
Oh, yeah,
Just terrified.
Just like,
doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
He is my favorite character.
That guy is the new favorite character. Just bug-eyed.
Just so terrified of the fury that is happening with Total Wolf right now.
Is he at his like little desk?
He's
in the
at his little
garage?
desk.
Yeah.
He is just full of rage that the car is awful
And it's
performance is down, and this poor guy is just like, are you happy, Toto?
can I help you?
Oh, the car is not good.
It's James Val's replacement probably. So this guy's just like new to his position too.
He's
So he's just like,
we might get more speed in the corners. Do you want a coffee?
hey doctor. For some reason
it's Frankenstein, young Frankenstein.
It's Frau Bruger.
Yeah.
Hey doctor.
He's killing me. And
That's
he's
really
only for
funny.
like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but he's just a new favorite.
I want to get a whole series of just staff
of like terrified staff
around angry team principals. I would love more reaction shots.
That's a very good concept.
That's my first takeaway from Drive to Survive.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
The first episode is primarily about Aston Martin and the Stroll family. Am I right in saying that?
I forget now the order of the episodes and
I think that
stories they focus on.
Yeah, I think that was the first episode. Which is good. It was a heartwarming story of a father and son, and how a father would pay billions of dollars to make sure the baby boy got into a good racing team.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but feel like the entire episode, I was like, yeah, Lance broke his wrist, and this is really amazing and stuff. But Fernando podiumed on debut with the team.
Yeah, Fernando on the podium.
And they're like, oh yeah, that was cool. But Lance.
Oh, Lance.
Like, he's got a few pins in his hands, and he raced an F1 car. I mean, that's a miracle.
I know. Michael Jordan playing Game 6 with the flu.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll with a broken wrist.
Yeah, finishing 8th.
Those are equally great stories.
Similar things. Similar things. Last Dance, got nothing on our boy Lance.
Oh, good rhyme. Bam. I mean, good feat, finishing the top 10 with some broken bones.
Yes.
But also Fernando on the podium.
On his debut. And they just kind of gloss over it like, what a cool thing. We're so proud to have a world champion on the team.
With Sebastian Vettel's debut at Aston Martin, did he also get on a podium?
In his first season with Aston.
Wasn't it like the first race?
I don't think it was first race. I think it was in Baku.
Okay, it was early season. I was hoping it was first race too. I was like, yeah, you get these world champions, put them in this car.
Yeah.
They get podiums.
And they just, they slam dunk on baby boy.
Poor Lance.
I know.
There are scenes in that episode where they show Alonso right next to Lawrence, and they look like father and son more than Lance and Lawrence.
He's proud of Fernando too. So
similar kind of like face structure and hairline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
He really likes his new dad.
Yeah.
And the dad likes his new son.
Yeah, totally. Lawrence kind of wishes that he married someone who was a Spaniard. Because then he's like, maybe I could have had a son like Fernando.
That's not a bad Lawrence impression.
Thank you. I was just thinking, how can I Canadian that up? I was pulling Kevin in for that one.
Yeah. No, that was a good episode.
Yeah, it's a good episode. I got into the second one, which is Danny Rick and Nick De Vries.
Lando and Danny. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick De Vries and Daniel.
Yeah.
And I felt like this was one of my favorite things I've ever watched for a number of reasons.
Yeah. What is it? Because I had some thoughts.
I felt like it was funny. For a number of things. We talked about it on an episode last year of like how it all went down.
Yeah.
With the test and how he was basically given the job at the test to replace Nick. But I'm sitting there and for our listeners who don't know that, I'm in post-production for unscripted reality television. So to see some of the decision making around Nick De Vries segments, I'm sitting there going, they knew they were going to make him look like a psycho.
Yes, that's my thought.
It did not make him
Poor
look
Nick
good.
De Vries. There is a scene where they're like, we should show what Nick likes to do. And it's just like him alone in an apartment, and he's just cleaning. He's like, I like to clean. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
What?
And he's just like meticulously cleaning everything.
Yeah, you're like, is this American Psycho with Christian Bale?
Yeah.
What is this?
He's like, at night I clean. In the mornings I go and I murder. And I'm like,
Totally.
who is this guy?
This is so creepy.
Why doesn't he have any friends around?
Not one.
No. Usually other like shots of like, it's like maybe they're playing tennis with their friend,
Yeah,
or
like
they're
paddle.
like hanging out with the parents,
With their dad.
or maybe their girlfriend.
No, yeah, they
Nick De Vries just alone.
isolated, sterile apartment.
Surprised there wasn't a shot of him just like sitting in a chair with looking at a TV. The TV's not on, just waiting to race. Like that would not have fit out, like wouldn't have been out of place in that episode.
But this is what I'm saying is that I'm like, the producers knew what they were doing.
That's so mean.
Because like, to me, when you're setting up that scenario, you're like, oh yeah, let's go play paddle with your dad. Let's invite Carlos Sainz Sr. and Jr. to play with you.
They're orchestrating these like conversations and scenes that they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Something to be that like feels authentically an event that they would be at. Right.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Does that make sense? And in a culture of Formula One, and to play up what is F1 culture, what is F1 driver glam culture.
Yeah.
And they chose Nick De Vries' sterile 1-bedroom studio apartment in Monaco that he cleans like a super psychotic lunatic. And said, oh yeah, show us how you clean the window.
He's like, I'm in Monaco. Do you want to like, I have a really cool car. Could I drive around? Like, no.
This
is a really cool scene. Trust us.
We got this really, it's kind of quirky.
You know how Esteban has his cat? You're going to have cleaning.
You're going to have cleaning. It's your thing. Fans are going to go bonkers over it.
They're so mean.
And he's like, we're going to have you drive through the streets of Monaco in a quirky little weird green Jeep and drive past a Lamborghini and be like, that's not my style.
Oh, man. Poor Nick.
They made him look so
They did not
dweeby
give him a chance.
and so weird. And they're like, and then introduce this weird outside friend
Yeah.
who's going to go bowling with him in some dirt. It's not even grass.
Yeah. They paid that guy. They're like, they got on like Craigslist and they're like, we need someone to pretend to be Nick's friend for an afternoon.
He has a second pair of round sunglasses that he can wear for the segment. Don't worry about sunglasses. Will
Side
be provided.
note, friend must be devoid of all germs or else Nick De Vries will not play.
Must have sanitizer in pocket for the day rate.
Oh, man. For instance, there is a scene later on in the Lewis Hamilton episode where I was watching it. I was like, did they orchestrate this? And now that you've said that, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Where they take Toto and Susie and their son. They go to the golf cart track.
Yeah.
And while their son is on the cart track, they're discussing choices and thoughts about Lewis and the team.
Right.
I'm like, there's no way they have these conversations at this place in real life.
No.
But it's a great scene to set to be like, oh, here's karting, here's their family,
Right.
here's decisions being made.
Right.
Amazing.
Right.
Poor Nick De Vries got the opposite
Just
treatment.
the absolute worst.
They're like, how do we get the fans to just be terrified of this poor human?
Like, why we have to make people want Daniel back at all costs.
Which isn't hard. We want him back
We
anyway.
already wanted him, but they decided to make him just a complete villain.
See, that's another spin-off series that we need of him just like becoming
just
back.
put some Pinky in the Brain music behind him cleaning, and you're just like, yeah, what in the hell?
Yeah.
It is concerning.
Next seasons, there's just going to be random. You won't notice it your first pass through, but second pass through, you'll just see Nick De Vries in like the background
of all
the scenes. They're like, he's coming.
Just at like the Bahrain test that they just did. He's just in the background of like the Visa Cash App garage. He's just
They're like, is that Nick De Vries?
Yeah, just like, I just
And
say,
then they turn back around. He's not there.
he's not there, but he's like slowly slinking. Unreal. Unbelievable.
Yeah, poor Nick De Vries.
So good, though.
Is there anything else that happened in
I
that
don't
series?
think it even matters. That was the groundbreaking experience thus far.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that like I do have an analysis of the season with the few episodes that I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I have watched I've watched the McLaren episode and have skipped around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But with the episodes that I've watched, I have found them to be genuinely entertaining. And they had some really good little storylines, some good insights that I thought were more valuable than I've seen in some recent Drive to Survive seasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, how did they pull this off? Because this season was terrible.
Yeah.
And then I thought back and I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's a weird parallel here. When Drive to Survive started, Lewis was running away with the championship.
Yep, 100%.
But because of that, there was drama in the paddock because all these other teams are struggling. And the Drive to Survive narrative is alive and well when someone's dominating.
Okay, I
so
get that.
Lewis is crushing. Drive to Survive is super interesting.
Yeah.
But every season that we've had that's been an interesting season, multiple race winners, podiums mixed up, this Drive to Survive seasons are kind of crap.
You think?
They're sort of flat. So I feel like maybe we have a trade-off.
I can see that.
Of like when things are great for one driver, it's terrible for everyone else, and we get great behind the scenes content.
I can see that. I can get along with that.
And then when we have a really good season, it's kind of like everyone's just trying to win. And then it's like, well, there's nothing that interesting about this. No one's a threat. They're all just trying their best.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. Was more shots of jogging down their street in Monaco. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, but when the tension's high and stakes are high, because this guy, if their car's not good this year, their job's lost. And that's been a lot of the narrative with Gunter and James Vowles, and it's been good storylines.
Yeah, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of like fabricated drama.
Right. It's just authentic.
It seems very authentic.
Yeah.
I think Netflix kind of like did a good job with this season currently. There was a season where I don't know a few seasons ago that just seemed wild.
Oh, it was like Carlos and Lando are bitter rivals. And it's like no one believes this.
Yeah.
We all know they're not.
They probably got a lot of feedback and they're like, okay, all we need to do is portray these stories accurately, and that is fascinating enough.
Right.
Contrast that to the NASCAR series. I started watching that.
Yeah. How
just to get my fix
I
for
haven't
cars.
watched it. Yeah.
Honestly, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's not as good as Drive to Survive.
Yeah. It wouldn't be in my mind. Right.
But they highlight some fun things like, what's his name? Ross Chastain that did the sweep around the corner.
The Hail Melon? Yes.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of cool to learn who these drivers are.
Right.
But honestly, it's just not as glamorous, not as exciting,
No.
not as serious as Drive to Survive.
It's a different breed of person. Right.
For instance, in Drive to Survive, you have, I don't know, Charles Leclerc, or Lewis driving these insanely rich, fancy cars through Monaco.
Right. And parking terrible.
Parking terrible. They're just like, this is where I park. And everyone's like, that's Lewis. Don't tell him no.
Don't get anywhere near it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're going to like the Cannes Film Festival. Like they're going to these huge events.
Right.
NASCAR. It's like, I don't know. Who's the top guy right now?
Oh, yeah.
Who's the guy that everyone hates?
Denny Hamlin.
Yeah. They highlight him a lot. And it's like, he's going in his like big Toyota Tundra, like just a truck.
Right.
And it's like, we're going to follow him. He's just dropping his kids off at school.
It's like it's like a TRD Pro. And it's like,
this?
Do you know how many bros in Utah drive the TRD Pro Tundra?
He's just a bro?
You're just a tech bro in Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that doesn't scream motorsport legend to me.
No, it doesn't.
It also doesn't scream simple man either. It screams like not a guy I want to hang out with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's just weird.
I don't picture Mario Andretti rolls around in a big lifted truck.
Yeah. I want my car, I want my race car drivers. All I want is like drivers that are cool.
Right.
Like hot women,
Right.
Fast cars.
Right.
Glorious locations.
Cool lifestyle.
Right.
I
want something I can't achieve.
Right. and I see the houses. That was we briefly talked about this in a text message. I sent you a picture of the Kyle Busch mansion.
Yeah, huge.
And it's enormous. And it's on a lake, I think. It's like got this crazy property, right? It's beautiful. But I look at that and I go, yeah, well, I mean, it's just it's in North Carolina.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's I've been to North Carolina a couple of times. It is stunning. It is beautiful. So don't let me downplay that too hard.
Yeah.
But it's also not like they don't hold events in North Carolina for like artists.
Yeah.
There's not like a film festival in North Carolina, right? Like I think that it's the clash of all the culture, right? Because like I think that it's rooted in the antiquity of the universe, right? It's like this is where it all started.
Yeah.
So it's the hub for culture, both in art, music, and it's like sport.
Yeah.
As far as soccer and all football are concerned.
Yeah.
So when motorsport is there in the midst of all of that cool, ancient, and just radness.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it belongs. You drive a really sexy car that's modern through those streets, and it's like, wow, look at that piece of art amongst this
all this other
beautiful
art
history
and culture.
And it's like not a Toyota Tundra driving through fields in North Carolina to a mansion on a lake.
Yeah,
it just doesn't speak to the same audience.
I guess I was also kind of let down that these NASCAR drivers are driving trucks, and. Well, I'm thinking of Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Ricky Bobby drives, but I know his dad drives is it a Dodge Challenger? A Charger?
It might be like a Nova or something.
It's a muscle car.
It's an old muscle car.
The one that the Cougar is in.
Yeah.
I'm like, and he gets in without opening the door.
Yeah, he jumps it through the window. Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, that's what I want my NASCAR drivers to do. I want muscle cars. They want speed all the time. But no, these guys just are trucks.
Right.
It's like, is that what they're aiming for is a truck?
I mean, so I know that, and here's the other thing too. I will say this, and this is part of like an interesting dynamic. I feel like people like Lewis Hamilton are awarded a little bit of extra like freedom because of the personalities that they are to own and drive things that aren't necessarily on brand, right? Like the influence of Lewis Hamilton is so great at this stage that like, have you ever seen him wear police eyewear? Like the sunglasses that Mercedes are sponsored by?
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
That it's on his helmet. And so it's on George's as well.
I guess I have to say no because I don't know what those are.
I don't either.
Okay, yeah.
But when I've looked at like their stuff in the past, I've like looked it up, like what is police eyewear? And I looked it up and I was like, yeah, I don't think he's ever worn those.
Gotcha.
He's always wearing something, but I don't think that it's like Versace.
Okay, yeah.
Or like, because that's Lewis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, so they're sponsored by this company.
Yeah.
But Lewis is this powerhouse on the team that's like, cool, it's on my helmet. Isn't that good enough?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That should be worth tons to you.
And that's sort of how he is in the car collection and some of those things. I will say with NASCAR, these guys are not as powerful as a Lewis or a Sebastian or any of these dudes. And they have obligations to those brands.
Right.
So like Dale Jr., I've heard him talk about like Miatas on his podcast before because there's the Mazda MX-5 Cup.
Okay.
That is like a really dope racing series where they all race spec Miatas.
That sounds fun.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
And he gets the amount of like apologies that he has to say, like he has to cross himself. Like he's like Chevrolet. Like he has to like
because he's always repping Chevrolet.
He's like a lifetime brand ambassador for the bow tie, the Chev bow tie.
Is there a worse brand to be slave to?
When it comes to NASCAR, no. But when it comes to just real life, yes, is probably the worst brand. But like in NASCAR, Chevy's fast. But when it comes to real life, it's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be aligned with this one.
Yeah, interesting.
Get the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
But anyways, all that to say that like when they're driving a Tundra, it's like a Toyota obligation.
Like Bubba Wallace, I think, drives a Tundra, and he also drives for Toyota.
Yes.
So.
But I know.
You know.
That Bubba has a car that they would not show on that series.
What's Bubba's car?
I can't say.
You can't?
I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't know if he can. Can he say that he owns a sports car?
I don't know.
It might be a good
Let's
question
get
for me
him
to
on the
ask him.
podcast
And we can ask
we'll
him. We'll ask him if he can talk about it.
We'll do it.
Bubba, if you can hear us, we're coming for you.
We're gonna get you.
Maybe because Daniel Suarez posts about his Volkswagen bus.
But no one's threatened by a bus.
No.
Anyway, Drive to Survive.
Yes.
And NASCAR Full of Speed, whatever the name of it is.
Right. NASCAR's racing circles.
Pedal to the floor. NASCAR Full Gas.
NASCAR's Full Gas featuring Danica Patrick.
NASCAR Burning Rubber.
Formula One Drive to Survive featuring Danica Patrick.
Everyone is mad about Danica Patrick. Honestly, I wasn't mad until I saw everyone else be mad, and I was like, oh, should I be mad? Because I was like, oh, she's attractive.
Yeah.
She's energetic.
I just don't think that she has a lot, of great insight.
Do we dare talk about Claire Williams?
No, dude, I was so excited though. I was so excited, genuinely very excited to see Claire, not Danica.
I just feel bad that they're making Claire talk about failed team principals. They're like, who do we know that knows how to fail?
Which team boss lost their business? Claire! Great resource.
And then it'll be sad when next year their correspondent for that position is going to be Gunter.
I know, that's yeah.
And then Claire loses her job then, and they're like, who can we get who knows how to lose their job and then lose their correspondent?
There's going to be a full category of like the people who are like the Grim Reapers. On Drive to Survive for every team principal they know is going to get fired. They're like, you're going to be our spokesperson,
man,
for Christian Horner this year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, who's walking the line right now?
I was stoked to see Claire and Danica Patrick. I have no beef with her. So like, here's another thing that for listeners who are new to the sport, new to motorsport, because I don't really know the history of Danica Patrick.
Right.
But why would you think that there is a lot of outrage for Danica Patrick being on?
Well, I mean, as far as...
And these aren't your opinions, but like, why would you say?
I think that there's... I mean, Danica Patrick in IndyCar actually was competitive. She had some decent races. She ran up front occasionally. When she came to NASCAR, that was where it became a question mark to everybody. It's like, this isn't really what you were built for. That you like her career and her background wasn't in like midgets and sprint cars and the things that people do to get to NASCAR. She didn't race.
It's two different disciplines.
They are.
I imagine taking a Formula One driver and going to NASCAR would be difficult.
Yeah. And Danica she raced in Europe. Like she did the go to Formula One route. It's part of the reason why she's a credible pundit or a spokesperson on TV.
No, she knows.
Because she did go through a lot of like the ranks in the path. But where I think a lot of people have given her crap is that, you know, post-race interviews, she's on the fly. She's not really prepared with like a great question.
Oh, okay.
And she'll just say something that's super out of left field, and everyone's like, do you watch F1?
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I do think like when I saw Claire, I was like, I'm excited you're here. I actually was like, this is a great person to bring back.
Does Claire Williams still have ownership at all of Williams?
I don't know. I would hope so. In order, since they race under the Williams like banner, it seems like it would only be right.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, shifting gears. Finally have race week.
Yes.
And they are racing in Bahrain.
And
I have notes here.
Yes.
Based on like testing, what do you think's going to happen in Bahrain? You watch testing.
Yes.
You know a lot about what cars do. What do you think's going to happen in Bahrain? We haven't had a chance to talk about all the car designs and testing and everything that showed up.
Right.
We've been in our off season as well.
Right.
So quick
rundown
predictions
of kind of like
what do you
what we're
think's going
seeing.
to happen in Bahrain based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll keep that brief, but also to even talk about just to even make this statement known. We are recording Tuesday, February 27th.
Yeah.
Supposedly the announcement for Christian Horner and his fate at Red Bull is supposed to be made tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
They said today or tomorrow. And since it didn't happen today, we are recording this on the eve of some huge news.
Yeah.
We do not know what the fate will be. So if you hear this, you're going to be like, why aren't they talking about Christian Horner? Because that's
we can
for
give
sure.
you some sound bites like, Wow, that news with Christian Horner and Red Bull is wild.
Wow.
I can't believe that's what they did. But it makes sense.
We'll
see how they go moving forward this season.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. We'll see if any of that fits with the decision they make.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I can edit that.
So,
okay.
That aside,
moving right on to testing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I think we're all very aware that. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm just like, is Red Bull going to beat everyone again?
Yes, unfortunately.
Dang it.
Everyone was super alarmed by what they showed up with. Their car does not only look fast, it is fast.
It is fast. And then there's always the thing, and I didn't watch a lot of testing. Then there's always the thing that comes out after where someone's like, and then someone said that the Red Bull was only running at 10%.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, son of a B.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang it. Who knows if that's real?
Right.
They're like, Red Bull's only actually using their first gear the whole time.
You're like, well, how's that possible? I'm crying. No, so I mean, I think that here's something. I think the RB19 was one of the best looking Formula One cars ever. I think it is really attractive. Tons of really cool, sleek lines. Paint scheme's cool.
Yeah.
Dominant race car. It goes down in history next to the MP44. McLaren, to me, is like cool, attractive, legendary race car.
Yeah.
They launched the RB20 and I looked at it and was like, is that Quasimodo? The weird haunches on the back, the big shoulder blades that run down the side.
Yeah, it's kind of bulbous.
A lot of things that, like the criticisms of the Mercedes car not being very attractive have now shown up on the Red Bull.
Yeah.
Which is comical because I feel like Adrian Newey's flipping Mercedes the biggest middle finger by being like, you guys had great ideas. You just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And here it is, and it's stupid fast.
Yeah.
And so Mercedes are probably borderline
losing their minds.
Yeah, emotional. They need a hotline right now.
That poor assistant next to Toto is very scared for his life.
He's like, last year was bad. I can't imagine this one.
Yeah.
But as far as pecking order is concerned, I do think Red Bull's probably unfortunately still at the top.
Yeah.
I do think that Ferrari and Mercedes are competing for second, which is a big step because Mercedes last year at the beginning of the season were fourth best.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, they finished second in the championship. But to have Mercedes and Ferrari to actually start the season pretty equal, I think gives us a really interesting fight for P2.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my second place is going to be bobbled between Ferrari and Mercedes in my mind. I think Aston Martin has retained their position at fourth. I think beneath them is where things start to get a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think the Cash App RB, Visa Cash App RB is going to be fifth. I think it's going to come in right behind.
Could be fun.
The Aston Martin or near it.
Yeah.
Because it's technically the RB19. And then behind that would be probably Williams, Sauber, and then Haas is sort of the lineup that I think that it's going to fall as.
Interesting.
Have I forgotten anyone?
I don't think so. McLaren. Third, fourth, fifth.
Actually, I'll take it back. McLaren's ahead of Aston.
Yeah.
But like,
they were pretty fast near the end of the season.
I know that they were saying, some of the guys had said that, and this is funny that I forgot them, but McLaren might be sandbagging more than Ferrari and Mercedes were. So they might be closer into that second fight than they showed in testing. But this is the hardest thing about testing is that it is just sandbagging left and right.
Yeah, you can't really make any solid predictions.
I want to be wrong about Red Bull more than anything. But the radical car that they brought, and then nothing was more disheartening than seeing Max set a fast lap on like scrub tires on like a full tank of gas, and then them cutting to GP, which is his race engineer, and he just had a big grin on his face because he's like, "There's so much more in it," and you can tell.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, so I'm hopeful, but
one thing that my only kind of thoughts I've had going into this new season, and every year we have reasons to be excited.
Right.
My reason to be excited this year is because I don't know if we mentioned it before on the podcast, But my reason to be excited is that because Lewis is going to Ferrari, he really has no reasons to play with the team. Like,
right.
It's him. He's going for his own.
Yeah, it's Team Lewis now.
Which means George Russell is going for his own points.
Yeah.
Same at Ferrari, where Carlos Sainz knows he's leaving.
Right.
So why play as the team?
Right.
So he's going for his own points,
right.
which means Charles Leclerc is going for himself.
Right.
Same thing at Red Bull, always. Except Sergio Perez, I don't know. We'll see if he plays ball.
Sorry.
Like, for real.
Except for Sergio Perez.
And then talking about Visa Cash App.
Both of them need a job next year.
Yeah, and so whoever's in second on that team is gone.
Yep.
So they are going to be fighting each other.
Right.
I just hope that all the rest of those teams are fast enough,
right,
to bring some competitiveness to the top. And then when you have all those guys, all those drivers in really fast cars, all going for their own selves, working for their own interest, you might have some really exciting races.
No, I think you're
hope,
dead on.
I hope this season is a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
I hope there's a lot more crashes. I hope there's a lot more teammates hating each other.
Right.
Because that would be exciting.
I honestly think too that like you look at the situations with like Lewis and George, we can guarantee friction.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, it's baked in. We know there's going to be bad friction between those two this year.
Yeah.
And if there's bad friction between Charles and Carlos, and there's bad friction between Lewis and George, it's like we're guaranteeing McLaren a second place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They might be fourth fastest.
Yeah.
They could be third or whatever, but they're like, we're going to get second in the championship this year because there's so many people out of contract next year. And we have two drivers that are like, don't crash into each other.
Yeah.
We could get second.
Yes.
And the car will be better next year because we'll have more money.
Yeah.
So don't freaking do it.
Yeah.
You know? So
and if you need a reason why, watch that episode with Alpine.
Right.
On Drive to Survive. They talk about how like when two drivers are not going for the team, but trying to compete with each other, the team crumbles.
Yeah, it falls apart.
Yeah.
And you can see it with those two guys. And it's a repeat of every great story that is out there. With Fernando and Lewis at McLaren and Nico and Lewis at all.
The common denominator is Lewis.
The great stories all use Lewis as a bad teammate.
So we're hoping for another one where Lewis is a bad teammate.
We can't wait for this to
I'm actually pretty excited. I want lots of hatred.
I feel like
there's too many pictures being posted on Instagram of all these drivers like playing paddleball with each other.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want these drivers to not be friends by the end of the season.
For blood.
Yeah.
It's like I want Alex Albon to regret every decision for everything nice and positive he said about George Russell by the end of the year.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Yeah, hopefully. That's my prediction.
I think that's a good prediction.
I hope this race is a great race this week. The Bahrain, real quick overview. What type of circuit is it? It's a racetrack. It's a racetrack.
It's high degradation because the surface of this track is 20 years old. It's never been repaved.
Oh, okay.
And so the tires get destroyed quickly.
Gotcha.
So look to teams to be using things that are a little bit harder compound.
Awesome.
They probably won't want to use the soft unless it's for qualifying.
And I'm putting you right on the spot here.
Yeah.
But what are some famous moments that have happened at this track that we can remember?
This is the rise of the Phoenix. This is the racetrack that
this
Roman Grosjean burst into flames on.
Yeah. So this is where Roman went off track. Into a wall.
Went through a barrier.
And exploded.
And exploded into flames.
He rose as the greatest driver ever.
Right.
He went into the barrier also as the greatest driver ever. Right. But he rose as the greatest driver ever.
And then the next season started off with Nikita Mazepin spinning off in that same spot. 2 seconds after the green flag.
This is Haas's favorite track.
They love Bahrain. So we can look for good things from them.
That's cool. It used to be at the end of the calendar. That's when Roman went off track. It was at the end of the calendar.
Yes, and I think that was the COVID year. So I think that there was some weirdness in that year too. Like why they went a little deeper into the season.
Historically, Australia's always been the first, right?
For a long time. And it will kick off the 2026 season, I think, is what they said.
It'll be back
return to being the first race of the year.
Okay.
Bahrain has moved to the front as well as like Saudi Arabia because they're racing in those colder seasons and warmer climates.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bahrain is now 20 years old, which is crazy to think that it's been on the calendar that long.
Yeah.
And it's produced some good races. George Russell replaced Lewis Hamilton during COVID.
Oh, that was interesting.
And raced against Valtteri here, and Sergio Perez won that race.
Oh, it started his Red Bull career. So some iconic moments have taken place at Bahrain. Cool.
And I think it's going to be a great race. When they kicked off the new regulation, both Sergio and Max had engine failure.
Oh, that was right.
And I think Charles won that race.
And we were so hopeful.
Yeah, that looked like it was Ferrari's year.
Yeah.
This is
the last time Charles has smiled.
Famous Ferrari last words. Every time.
Charles is like, I don't need this piano anymore.
Yeah, it's our year. And then by Imola, he was just in his...
I bet by the end of the season, that's when that album came out.
He got really good at piano by the end of that year.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I'm excited about the race, and it'll show, everyone will have to show their true colors by that point.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
Where does everyone fall?
Yeah. Dude, I'm excited for it. Upcoming episodes, we need to get, I think our producer, Kevin, he wants to come on and give us his year predictions.
Yes.
And so we'll have to let him do that.
He used AI again. So he's like, ChatGPT, tell me, where does everyone fall after testing, and where should I put them?
That's a good impression of Kevin. Also, we need to get the Hosh Chap on.
I could do Lawrence Stroll and Kevin. I'm telling you, it's the Canadians.
We need to get the Hosh Chap on. He's had some amazing success.
Yes.
In England.
Oh man,
crushing it.
Yeah.
As
how
the
did we
Hosh
not
Chap.
even talk about it? We should have led with that.
Well, I want him to come on and tell us his adventures.
Yes, we need to talk more about that.
The
for
adventures
sure.
of the Hosh Chap. I think that's the new segment of bringing him on.
Yeah.
We'll get some nice medieval music. For him.
That's his intro. From the sons of Abu Dhabi.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to bring him on.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear from Henry.
Other than that, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, listen to us on Spotify, watch us on YouTube.
Give me another Instagram. I need a G to be able to work with.
Besides that, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, listen to us on Spotify, rate us, follow us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Share us with your friends. And then we'll see you soon again, real quick.
We're going to be talking to you guys
a lot,
like usual.
Yeah, like usual. The
but we
season
are
is
so
on.
Excited to be back.
Thanks for listening.
Yes.
We'll catch you next time.
See you next week or next time. We'll see.
Bye. You know how Esteban has his cat? You're going to have cleaning.
You're going to have cleaning. It's your big. Fans are going to go bonkers over it.